Okay, now that it's 8:30, we'll call the Land Use and Transportation Committee to order. Can we do roll call? Member Zebarth? Leffler? Here. Fagan? Here. Duffy? Here. I'm here. And then having conducted the opening roll call and declared a quorum is physically present, I'd like to inform the committee that members able and inclined have requested to participate remotely under the County Board Rules 20-20 in accordance to the Open Meetings Act. Notice was received from members able and inclined in accordance with our rules. Per Rules 2020, members able and inclined will be authorized to attend the meeting electronically if a motion to approve by the members' electronic attendance is made, seconding and adopting the majority of the members of the committee. May I have a motion to approve members able and inclined's remote attendance? Member Duffy, second by Fagan. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Member passes. The motion is passed, and the record will show that members able and inclined are present for the meeting. Do we know? Can they hear us?
Welcome, Klein and Abel. Are you able to hear us?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Can member Klein hear us?
Oh, yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Excellent. Yep. Okay. The consent agenda. Minutes from the Land Use and Transportation meeting, May 2nd, regular meeting, bills and payments transfers. Can I get a motion? Member Fagan, in a second. Member Duffy. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Okay. Any members by county employees?
We've had no requests for anyone to speak this morning.
Okay. Departmental matters. Phil?
Yes, we have an item for a regional planning service agreement that's identical to the one that we approved last year. It helps regional planning do long-range planning for the county. A similar agreement is placed with the city of Bloomington and the town of Normal. If you have any questions, let me know.
Okay. Are there any questions? No. Can I get a motion? Member Leffler, a second. Member Fagan. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Is that for or against?
That would be 4.
And then did we get Klein?
Aye.
Okay. All right. This motion passes. Mr. Stokes?
Yes, thank you. The first item is a request for approval of a resolution from the March 27, 25 project letting. So this was in Randolph Township. It's a subdivision that is hot mix now, and so it's just basically a mill and resurface. I think the original pavement was constructed in like 2007, 2008 timeframe, and so H.J. Upple was a little bidder on this project, and he's going to be using motor fuel tax funds, so that's why it comes to the committee today. So we got good prices on it compared to our estimate. Sometimes on these smaller projects, we're not always sure what type of prices we'll get. There was also another project in Empire Township that we bid at the same time. He's using local funds, so it doesn't come through the county board. But we did kind of lump them together and H.J. Upple got that project as well. So a little bit of work the townships are doing here, and hopefully have this completed yet this fall.
Okay. Requesting, can I get a motion for the request a letter approving the project March 25, 20? Member Zebarth, in a second. Member Duffy. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Member, motion passes. Mr. Stokes?
So the second item is a request approval of resolution for the purchase of a motor grader and also a service body fleet truck. And so this was a couple pieces of equipment that we had in our 2025 budget. And so one was a grader. We have 3 graders, and one of them is, I think our oldest one's a 2004, we have 2005, and then also 2007. And so we decided it was getting time to where we needed to get a new one. And so just with the technology and everything, so we actually went out and tested the John Deeres and the Cat graders, and got prices on those and trade-ins on that type of stuff. So after we looked at it, the Cat grader was what we preferred. And so that's what this is, going through Sourcewell. And then we're also trading in a 2007, our 2007 motor grader. It's got like 4,500 hours compared to our other 2 that only have around 2,000 hours. And years ago, we used to use these to plow snow, but we have enough tandems now to where we hold tandems over through the winter. We don't need the graders to go out in the snow unless it's an emergency situation. So I think keeping this out of the salt, keeping this out of the elements will help it. But I think it's just time to replace it. And then the second item is basically a service body truck for our pipe crew. They carry a lot of material when they're putting in culverts and that type of thing. And so this allows them to have their saws and different tools in an actual service truck as they're doing their work.
Any questions? Okay. Can I get a motion? Member Leffler, second. Member Duffy, or Fagan, excuse me. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And none opposed, so motion passes. Mr. Stokes?
So third item is request approval of a bridge construction petition for a joint culvert replacement in Randolph Township Road District. So the road commissioner reached out to us and said he wanted us to look at a culvert that was kind of had a suck hole in it and it was caving in. So we went out and looked at it and sized it and recommended to replace it. So we're going to put a 48-inch round culvert in at this location.
Any questions? Okay. Can I get a motion? Member Duffy, second. Member Ziebart. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Stokes?
And the last action item is a request approval of a bridge construction petition for the deck repair in Dale Township Road District. And so I have a few pictures here of this bridge. So when we go out and inspect these bridges, we kind of notice some delamination and pop-outs in the deck. And then so once we see that, we kind of go a little further and we sound the deck to where we go and see, we run like a chain almost, a wheeled chain basically you could say, across the deck, and it finds all the delaminated concrete. It kind of makes a hollow sound. And so we did that here and marked out these locations. And so our highway department's gonna dig this out, saw cut this, and then jackhammer this and re-pour it back. It ends up being about 43 square yards compared to the total decks of around 315 square yards. So it's about 15% of the deck that needs to be patched. I got a couple other pictures of another deck that we're actually going to do this year yet, where we're going to be doing a full deck overlay, and that's around 50% of the deck. So just a couple more pictures here. You can kind of see, it's maybe hard to tell, but some of these are just isolated areas that we're just going to patch and that type of thing. And you kind of can see some of the bigger ones. And so the idea is we're going to patch these, and then the township, when they go to do their oil and chip work this year, he's just going to oil and chip over the entire deck to seal it all up to keep as much moisture out of there as possible. Okay, any questions? Can I get a motion?
Member Zebarth, second by Mr. Fagan. All in favor? Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes.
So this is, just for reference here, so this is the other one that we're gonna do a whole deck overlay. This is on the Rop Road, just north of the Hudson West Road. And so you can see the amount of, so this deck's a lot shorter. This is only like a 65-foot long deck. But you can see like over 50% of it is delaminated. And so we're gonna redo the entire deck where, we'll hire a contractor to come in and scarify the deck, and then we'll put a 2.5-inch concrete overlay over the entire deck. We've done this on a couple other bridges a few years ago, so we just feel it's time to do this one. And there's just a couple other, this is the pictures of last couple days. You can kind of still see the pop outs are there, and so it'll help. There's a lot of debris that's building up here, so we'll actually so that'll all be taken care of. Some of the drains are popping out and delaminating as well along the edge here, so we'll take care of that as part of this project we have coming up. So, any other questions on that?
Over 50%. Is that kind of your rule of thumb in terms of if it's over 50%, you just do the entire?
Pretty much. I mean, we have done some where we patched them, but I think it's more cost effective for us to do the whole deck at this point, or at least on this particular bridge. A lot of times if there was another component of the bridge that was bad, like underneath it, if the substructure and all that was starting to deteriorate as well, we'd probably just look at replacing the whole thing. But this particular bridge was built in '83, so I think it's still got some life left if we do this project.
Member Fagan, did you have a question? No. Jerry, I got a question. What is the source of the delamination? What causes that?
Well, that's a good question. Some of it could be the rebar's too hot, too close to the surface, and so then the concrete doesn't get covered around there good, or doesn't, when it gets finished, there might be too much water at the top, and then with our salting operations, and then just freezing and thawing.
That would all be epoxy coated bar even back then, right?
That's hard to say. I'm not sure. And
then the scar firing, is that the hydro?
Yeah, they'll hydroblast it, take it all off, and then we might have a full depth patch we need to do, or some other things we need to do on top of that. They'll expose all the rebar, and then we'll pour a special kind of concrete mixture on it.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other questions? Can I get a motion? Member Fagan, second by Duffy.
These are just
conversations you've already had on item 2. Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Okay. Mr. Stokes?
So project summary. So we've gotten pretty busy here. So I got quite a few pictures that I'll try to go through. So the first project is the Golden Bridge north of Leroy. So they just poured the deck on Friday, and so this is kind of the first few pictures here, just of them starting to form the deck. So you can kind of see them getting the plywood. The yellow is kind of the brackets that they use. They use a forming system called Fernco that they use, and it gets engineered to do this forming to hold up the concrete. So this was what they did pretty much the whole, from our last meeting to when they poured on Friday. So you can see this is the bottom here that they're of the deck that they're forming up, and so just more pictures. And then there's the forming system I was talking about, where they put all this underneath there, and then the plywood goes on top of that. So they got everything in there. This is all ready. You kind of can see. So these are called embeds for the guardrail. So they put those in there, and then the guardrail company will come and attach to these embeds in the concrete once everything's set up and completed. And then, so after this was done, the iron workers come in and start placing the rebar. And so, you kind of can see there's the rebar that's been placed. So this is a bidwell machine that basically smooths out the concrete, as it goes along here. So they build, forms on either side of it. And there's kind of just another picture of the bidwell. And so this is kind of right before they started pouring on Friday. And then, so this is the pump truck that they use to pump the concrete onto the deck. And so our guys test the concrete before it goes into the pump, and then once it goes through the pump on the bridge, we test it as well. So we test how much air is in the concrete, and then we take cylinders and then after a week, we'll break the cylinders to see how much strength, make sure the concrete's up to the strength that it needs. So here you can kind of see they're starting to pour the concrete in the rebar. And here's one of our testers there to test the concrete after it goes through the pump. And we test every load that gets put in there. And so some more pictures of the bidwell as it's smoothing out the concrete. It's kind of another angle of it. And then the finishers in there to make sure the bidwell is being fed or has enough concrete to do that. And then that's kind of the finished product after it's done. And then they got finishers that come back behind the bidwell and smooth it off and then broom it, and then they cover it up. And so it'll cure for 7 days. We'll probably try to take a break, see where we're at on strength, and then they might start stripping forms. So so this project, we had a good spring, so this project's really moved along pretty at a good pace. Any more questions on that?
Do we have the equipment to test it ourselves, or does that go to a third party?
We have the equipment to test it ourselves. We have in our concrete lab, we have a cylinder that breaks them, or a cylinder
Press, basically.
Yeah,
right?
basically.
And then the other projects?
Yes. So the next project is PJ Keller Highway. So last week they milled off 2 inches of the existing surface, and so then yesterday they started the widening. We're putting safety shoulders on this road, and so this you can see the mill is here. So we're cutting down the edge of basically right along the edge of the pavement, 3 foot wide, 4 inches deep, and putting hot mix back in there. So they did a couple miles yesterday, and then they're up there going to do that today. It'll probably take them 4 or 5 days to get this all completed. And then here's a picture of them putting the hot mix back in the hole as that they just milled, because we don't leave it. It doesn't get left open overnight. It gets filled the same day as it gets done. And then, so once all this is done, then they'll come back, and then we'll put a hot mix surface over the entire roadway, including the shoulder, so it'll all be uniform all the way across there. Any questions on?
I got one. I thought, I'm all for the safety shoulder, but I thought we reserved that kind of for traffic to schools. How did this get the
Not
approval?
necessarily. I mean we have done that before. We did actually. We received safety funds we put an application in, and so the state gave us safety funds to do that. A lot of it is some of the curves in there and that type of thing, trying to eliminate running off the road in the curve locations, and and just being kind of a thoroughfare from the lake to Lexington. We thought it was a good option to do that. We've got other roads that are related to schools, and that's how sometimes we put that in the application to help with the safety aspect of it. But we also have other roads that don't have that. So kind of looks at where we kind of look at the accidents, see if there is, if we have had some run off the road type accidents there, and sometimes, and then other times it's more just being proactive, like in this case.
Excellent.
Forget my mic. Does that stretch, the resurfacing, go all the way from the lake to Lexington? Is the entire PJ Keller being done?
Yes.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Part of there was a couple miles that was closer to Lexington that was done as part of a wind farm project a couple years ago. but we are putting the safety shoulders all the way into Lexington, or all the way at least to the 55 interchange. So, and then the next project is Stringtown Road, and so so this is our cold in place recycling project for the year. And so this is kind of the first step where they go out and they put Portland cement out in front of the recycling train. And so these were taken on Friday. So this is putting the Portland cement down. So here's the train. So you can kind of see that so here's the Portland cement, and here's the oil tankers, and then they're going into the milling machine, which is then going into the paver. So it's kind of a long train. It gets spread out, but they're processing 4 inches of the existing pavement, and it fluffs up real high, and then it gets compacted back down. So so here you can kind of see this is the paver, and then the milling machine, and then the tanker is hooked into the milling machine. And so when the milling machine is going, the emulsion mixture is from the tankers going into the milling machine and then going in once they till it up, it's all getting mixed in there as they go along, and then it gets put in the paver to get laid back out. So you can see how thick it is over here. So it does fluff up a fair amount, probably 6 inches total of that, and then it gets compacted back down. So so not the best picture in the world, but that's kind of just of the paver. Here's a better picture of them, so you can see the mill surface there where we'll go down 4 inches, and then the material getting put in the paver. Here's kind of another one, and so there's this is the water here, and then this is the truck that has the Portland cement that goes down out in front of it. So they're averaging about 3 tankers of oil of a day, so probably close to 2 miles, depending. They had a couple breakdowns, so there were delayed starts there a few days, but probably on average a couple miles a day. So they ought to finish that up today, which will be good before the rain comes. And so there's just a couple more pictures here. So this is kind of the finished product. You can see how high it was fluffed up, and then it gets compacted down. And so then they go down all the way. We're doing about 4 miles, and so they did 2 miles or 4 miles down. So now they're working back the other way in the other lane. So, and then once this is all done, it takes probably about a week for this to cure out. We'll take some moisture tests, make sure all the moisture's out of it, and then the contractor will come in, and we're going to put I think 2¼ inches of hot mix on top of it in 2 separate lifts. And this is just a CRIR stretch, and then closer to Stanford, there's just going to be a regular mill and fill, but it's all going to be part of the same project.
Are we going all the way east to 55 under the railroad?
No,
Oh, we're
no,
not
we're
going
just
that far.
going to the Covell Road, which is 825 east. That section was done probably 2017, I believe.
Okay.
So
Any other questions? Seeing none?
that's all I have.
Ms. Taylor?
I do not have anything to present to the committee this morning.
Okay. Looks like the next meeting is Tuesday, July 8th at 8:30. And I think we're adjourned, right?